Welcome back to the random pile of crap that is the current state of my bench because of this pizza oven to reflow oven conversion project. So I just plugged this thing in, which in the current state that it's in is clearly a very bad idea. It's not plugged in right now. But I just kind of started up heating up the elements, and they're still pretty hot. This one's at about 80 C. I think is how, it's about 80 C or so. I really want to try taping this thermocouple to it with some Kapton tape and just seeing how hot it gets. So I'm going to say this is a terrible idea, so don't try this. So this thing's still going to be incredibly hot. I'm just going to try to make this quick. Okay, now I've got that taped on. It's still at about 66 C. Let's see here, so I'm going to plug it in. I can't actually remember what I have it set to. I have it set, okay, so I have this is the selection for bake, broil, or off. And I have it set to broil right now, I think. I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait a second here. Nope, this is the middle. This must be broil. This must be bake. So I'm going to set it to bake. And then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to turn on the timer with a screwdriver because it has no knob. Starts to tick. Now let's just see how hot this thing gets, and hopefully don't burn down my lab and my house. Now this thermocouple is electric rated to 500 degrees Celsius. I'm really not sure if you'll actually stand that. I'm not sure what Kapton tape is rated to. Let me check. Check this. Kapton tape. Short temperature 300 C. Okay, so I don't want to get stuff too terribly hot. We'll see. We'll just see. I'm pretty sure both the ohms are on. Sure, right there, 200 C. Definitely close to 100 start. Or just use the fridge. 20 C. No. The start base is not mentioned. It's 63.37. So I imagine I want to use about the same temperature I use my. So I'm going to use around there. So I'm going to use temperature. So I'm going to use start base. Now we're going to use our Kapton tape. It's pretty hard. Maybe this. 180 Fahrenheit. So it seems like it's maxing out at about 300 C. It's creeping up there, so I definitely think that it'll get hot enough to melt solder. And once we stick a board in here, I definitely think that the two heating elements will dump enough heat into that board to be able to heat it up, at least to, or if not past, the temperature we need it at. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it off now. You can see the temperature starting to drop right as I turned it off. I'm going to unplug it entirely. Out. And I'm just going to go ahead and reset the timer. I can definitely feel the heat of that on my hand. Oh, and there goes the thermocouple. Well, there was no fire. There's a little bit of discoloration there on the thermocouple, and definitely the heat shrink kind of heated up and shrunk a bit more, I guess. Now, the stuff is still going to be really hot for a while. Still, over 100 C. So I'll wait for this thing to cool off. Maybe I'll grab my pliers in here and kind of peel the tape off with those. So I'd say that's pretty good. Now the next step will be to kind of modify this thing, bypass the timer here, and use this guy. And I have one of the thermocouples hooked up into this guy, kind of jankily, into the screw terminals. It's pretty solid though, so, and there's obviously not any current really that goes through there, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I ordered some bigger, much beefier, like 15 amp relays, because the relay in here, this thing's rated to 3 amps. There's no way I'm going to be able to safely pass the amount of current that this thing draws. Ooh, that's hot. Yeah, maybe there's a reason that it says caution, hot surface, do not touch up there. Probably means don't touch it. So I ordered a bigger, beefier relay to handle all the current that this thing pulls. So at some point, I will stick that on and use... So what I'll do is, I'll drop a little diagram for it. Please excuse the fact that I just have to hold this in front of the camera for now, but we have a little schematic for how this whole thing is going to work. So we have the temperature controller box hooked into the mains, and with a thermocouple hooked into it. And then it has a little chintzy little 3 amp relay inside. So that will be connected to 12 volts, and that will then switch another relay, the bigger 15 amp relay, which will in fact be switching the oven, the mains to the oven. So instead of the oven being switched inside of the temperature controller's little chintzy relay, we are using a bigger, beefier relay to switch it. So that way, this little temperature controller won't burst into flames, but it will work exactly the same, because this is a 12-volt coil inside this relay, and so we just use 12 volts, so I'll get that somehow. And so that's really all that the circuit is. So for now, I have verified that this thing does in fact work, and before, I was just waiting for thermocouples. Now, I'm waiting for a bigger, beefier relay after I discovered the little chintzy 3 amp one inside of the oven will most certainly not cut it, and I really don't want to try. But this thing works. It gets up to temperature. It will most certainly get hot enough for what we need to do. Once I kind of remove the little timer from the circuit, all that I'd really have to do is kind of desolder this and just basically solder these wires together. I can use this control here to switch it. Really, I can just keep this in. That's probably what I'll do, is I'll just leave this in and switch it between the settings. Just leave it on bake, is what I believe it was on. And then I'll replace this basically with the big relay. Yeah, basically what I'll just do is I'll take these off and solder them across the relay switch, the big beefy 15 amp relay switch. So they'll go, one of the wires will go here and one of the wires will go here. So that way we can switch the oven with our relay instead of with the physical timer switch that we don't really need. Thanks for watching. Feel free to support me on Patreon if you want to see more videos like this and see me get better equipment and fun stuff to tear down.